Watch Movies.
I'm Ava.
And I'm Jenna.
And we watch movies. So this week we watched The Last Letter from Your Lover. It just came out on Netflix. Its initial release was July 30th, but that also says Sweden next to it. So I'm not exactly sure of the specific day that it came out.
I think it was the 23rd.
The 23rd? Okay. Yeah, I don't know how it came out here on Netflix on the 23rd, and then the initial release in Sweden is listed as July 30th, but we'll let it slide. It's a romance movie about these... It's kind of got these two coexistent, I guess would be the term, love stories going on simultaneously, but they're in two different time periods. So you have this one who's journalism, oh my god. She's a journalist participating in journalism in the present day, and she has stumbled upon these letters, these love letters between these two people who are having an affair, and then so the other half of the story is we're seeing that affair going on. And yeah, so it stars Shailene Woodley and Felicity Jones, and we're gonna talk about it. So Jenna, you want to tell me what your initial reaction was?
It was kind of boring, not gonna lie. I wasn't super interested or invested in anything that was happening. Like, that being said, this movie isn't bad. It's definitely not good. But I just didn't care.
I found the beginning boring. I'll definitely agree with you there. There were parts that I liked. It made me want to write love letters, or at least receive them, so, just throwing that out there. Yeah, anyways, it's very much, if you're not into romance, like, in any scenario, you're definitely not gonna like it, because that's what the plot has to stand on. It's just these two people love each other, star-crossed lovers and stuff. So if you want like more to a plot than the romance, you're probably not gonna get much from this movie. It's but I mean, if you like romance, you probably will like it, because you'll be like, oh, they're in love. Which is, I'm kind of both, so I felt both ways throughout watching this, I will admit. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was more invested in the 1960s story or the present day story. I thought that the present day girl was way more annoying than the 1960s girl, I'll give you that.
Yeah. I kind of wish that they had just picked one.
Yeah.
And moved on. Like, you can still have the whole, like, this journalist is investigating this, like, series of love letters she found, but you don't need to, like, show us them. I feel like showing us both of the stories at the same time just didn't really do anything for me, because there was, like, there wasn't enough development on either side for me to get really invested, especially in the modern day one.
I feel like I totally agree with you there. I feel like the journalist, I think that she was a good storytelling device to telling the 1960s story, because I do like how as she discovered more letters, or as she continued investigating, we got to see more of the original story. I don't like that they tried to give her own story, though.
Me too.
It definitely took away from the actual story that they were trying to tell. Not that the actual story itself was perfect. I mean, it did have, I thought that it had issues in the fact that, like, it kind of went in a bit of a loop, you know? It was always, like, a kind of, oh, run away with me. No, I can't! And then she, like, was gonna, but then she got stopped by something. Like, they did that multiple times, which is kind of like, oh, like, okay. That's awkward. But, I mean, I definitely felt more invested in, what was her name? Jennifer and boot, I guess, their story. I was more invested in their story than I was in Ellie and Rory's story, especially because Ellie was like such a jerk to him, to be honest. I didn't see their chemistry really until like the end. There wasn't much like chemistry at the beginning, and it was kind of weird.
Rory could do better.
He can do better. And I have nothing against, like, this is all just the character, for the record. I do like some of the stuff that I've seen Felicity Jones in.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I think that Rogue One is the Star Wars movie that I've enjoyed the most, and I know it's not like part of the continuity or whatever, but I do think that I like, well, it might be part of the I don't know. I don't know where it fits in. I'm not a Star Wars person, but I did like it more than I liked all the other Star Wars movies. I think she's great. I just don't think the character was great.
No. And again, like, all we really know about her character is she's a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
She had a bad romantic history.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of a third thing?
I mean, I can, I guess. Like, she's insistent for what she wants, I guess.
She likes croissants.
Yes. Honestly, the only thing I really, like, enjoyed about her character was the scene where Rory was like, okay, but you can't bring any food or drink in, and she just eats the whole croissant in front of him. I was like, this is the only acceptable way to do this. Like,
okay,
not
but
just putting it in your backpack, just shoving the whole thing into your face while he watches.
Okay, yeah, but the thing is, she only ate half of it.
Never mind, I don't like her character at all.
I know, she shoved half of it into her mouth, and then she had to break because she couldn't fit all of it in her mouth. And then the next thing they showed us was her throwing it out. So, unless they just cut out her eating the other half, she just completely wasted half a croissant there, and I'm sorry, I can't get behind that.
She was wearing a backpack!
I know!
See, this is why we don't like certain characters. Just waste a perfectly good croissant.
But yeah, I mean, it didn't give us much of a chance to connect with her as like an actual romance heroine, I guess. And then of course there's the whole croissant wasting thing. I feel like she would be better if I mean, I'm never one to say like don't develop a character, but like if they developed her less. I feel like sometimes when I talk about movies, I send mixed signals. It's like case-by-case basis, okay?
Well, like with her, if they had just kept her more of like a storytelling device where they didn't really give her a story, it's just, okay, like, oh, now we found more letters, so this means we get to know more about like the real main characters. Like, she's just a reason why we're telling this story instead of, oh, this is her story, but also these people's story, like, doesn't really work out in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen movies, I can't name them off the top of my head, so I think I've seen these movies, unless I'm making this up, but I've seen movies where they have told coexisting stories that have worked really well. Actually, I can tell you, I think it worked really well, the coexisting stories in Devil All the Time. I don't think that movie was perfect by any respect, but I think that they're interconnected parallel storylines that kind of ended up crossing, so I guess they weren't parallel, but coexisting storylines that all had their own like ways of interacting. I think that was really well done. However, in this one, they kind of missed the mark a little bit, and I mean it's there. I mean, just like keep your main characters and your plot devices kind of separate, I guess, because I don't know, you need to develop main characters or actual characters, and then people who serve as plot devices don't develop them too much, because then you don't care and it's kind of boring. And I just feel like Ellie and Rory would have served better as plot devices than main characters. But I do see what they were going for, and it could have been good, but
yeah, no, like, and I know you said the beginning was boring, and I kind of agree, but I don't know. I feel like the farther like the affair slash romance in the 60s took place, the more I didn't like it. Because it
Mm.
became less of a focus on like them in a relationship and more so just like, oh, but like it's so hard to actually like meet up with you and like, oh, I was going to meet up with you, but then something happened and it's just like, okay, like there's like kind of any chemistry they had was foregone for drama. And that kind of bothered me because at that point it was like, okay, are you going to end up together or not?
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of a repetition going on there. Um but I think at the beginning I really didn't like Jennifer, but I think that was just because she had amnesia and I couldn't really grasp onto anything of the character cuz she was just kind of like she was kind of an object at that point cuz she didn't like have her own goings on, I guess, because she couldn't remember anything. Um so that's probably why I didn't really like her at the beginning. I liked her more as it went on. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. During the train scene when she was trying to rush to the train, like for a split second, my brain was like, she needs to text him, and then I was like, hang on, hold on a minute, oopsies. um, but that part, I do think that part was strong, and I think that it was made less strong the second time they did that kind of storyline.
Yes.
Because it was like, oh, he's waiting for her and she's not gonna be there. And like, I don't know. Because knowing that they didn't end up together, because, I mean, you got to see the future, you know that they kind of didn't end up together. It was kind of like you knew that something bad was always gonna happen. I don't know.
We didn't need it the second time because at that point, like, okay, the audience is all caught up. Like, here's the accident. We know she has amnesia now. So we could have gone, like, all those years with her, like, not truly remembering or, like, maybe implying that, like, she knew something was wrong. Like, we didn't need, like, that chance encounter where she sees him and faints, but then she remembers everything. But then she, again, doesn't get to go back to him because now she has a child. Like, why didn't we use that screen time if we were going to have two different stories to more develop the modern day storyline? And then when what's her name, Ellie, is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ellie.
Yeah, when Ellie tries to find Jennifer and she does, and then like she gives her the letters, maybe that's what has her kind of remember this whole event that happened in her life. So now we have these, like, two storylines instead of like, oh, let's just have them meet and not be able to get together again because we haven't done that before, right, guys?
Yeah, I feel like maybe they were trying to do it as a way to avoid the whole like question, like, oh, now that the internet's a thing and people text and everything, why didn't he try to reach out if he knew that she was alive and he was alive? But I feel like there are other ways you could have done that. You could have been like, oh, he could have said, oh, she didn't come to the thing, so I figured that she didn't want to talk or anything. I feel like they could have ended the story kind of at the train. I totally agree with you there. They didn't need the whole Christmas part. But I guess that they did need a way for the letters to get to the editor. So I will give them that. I was kind of expecting them to end up being like shoved in one of her books, and then they get donated to the editor via the books because she like donated her books or something. But either way, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. They could have also spent the screen time with more of like those scenes where Jennifer and Boot really had a lot of chemistry, because I think they were really cute together when they were like hanging out and they had like their little dates and stuff. They definitely had their moments. They had good chemistry. I thought they were really working, and then they didn't have much development of them. Well, I mean, they did have them, but like they could have had more of those like chemistry moments, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I feel like after a certain point, like, all of their chemistry moments were replaced with either, like, purely, like, physical implications or just drama that didn't really have anything to do with, like, their actual, like, relationship and their dynamic. So then it just got boring again, and I didn't care.
Yeah. I will say though, you know the when they were older, I did like those scenes when they were reuniting when they were older.
Yeah.
And part of that was because the actress that they got to play old Jennifer looks just like Shailene Woodley. Like, that was creepy. They had the same eyeballs. The same ones, I swear to God. Like, they, like, took the eyes out of Shailene Woodley's head and put them into this other woman. Diana Kent put them into her head because they have the same eyeballs and, like, the same cheekbones. And I was like, bro, are you guys twins? I thought that they put the original actress in makeup at first, but I was like, whoa, that's a different actress. I think that Boots' older version was a little bit like less spot on, but like, come on, Jennifer's was like exact.
Yeah, like, they definitely did get good older actors. Sometimes they'll do that and I'm like,
What?
where is the resemblance? Have you dropped it?
You cut out for a really long time there. I have no idea what you said.
Then just forget about it, because you were kind of just crackling on my end and I could hear you a little bit. And I thought you were done, but I guess maybe you just cut out.
Oh no, okay, so wait, I said that they were like twins and that they were really similar. And I think that was really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. They definitely did a good job casting in this movie when it came to people that had to be other people.
Yeah, I always really respect when movies like well cast the younger versions of like older people. I recently just saw Old, the M. Night Shyamalan horror movie thing that came out, and the casting was my favorite bit. If you follow us on Twitter, I'm trying to start doing little mini positive reviews of movies, because I don't want to like talk negative, because we don't need negative energy. We talk enough criticism on the podcast, but I'm just trying to put my favorite thing about whatever movie I see on the Twitter, and I wrote that my favorite thing about Old was the casting and how the progression from young to old with the kids was really spot on, and it was like all of the actors were like related or something. It was fantastic. I give them mad respect for that. Because there's a lot of times when people cast younger versions and they have like no resemblance, or they try to. There's a lot of times when the line between using makeup to make an actress or actor look younger or older and getting a completely different actor kind of blurs. I was recently watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with my sister, and there's a character that they have a flashback for when he's like a teenager versus when he's an adult, and they have this jump from the teenager to the adult actor that's like, I guess, supposed to be like, I don't know if it's supposed to be a year or something, but like not enough time for him to change that much, and it was just like jarring. So like at that point you probably want to just try to make the actor look younger. I don't know, this is a whole rant about ages and acting and whatever. But they did a really good job in this movie, and that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, no, and like sometimes you'll be watching something and you'll be looking at like character that's supposed to be like aged down or aged up, and you're like, where is the resemblance among these people? And then it just throws you off even more because you forget that it's the same character. which is literally not what you want to do, so I agree. And it definitely made the scene at the end, which I didn't mind the ending scene where it's like them telling like the story of like what would have happened if like she had arrived on the train, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It made that like more interesting, I suppose, because you could actually like see and make the connection without having to just like buy it.
Yeah. I really did like that scene. It kind of confused me a little bit when they kind of started flashing in between the older actors and the younger actors in the same position with the same outfit. And like I got it after like 5 seconds of it when I was like, oh yeah, they're just trying to real like show us that they're reconnecting with their old love or whatever. And I do really like the last scene. There were a lot of these little romantic moments between them that I did really like. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. I do like I like vintage love a lot. Like that whole aesthetic is really cute. There was a scene, not really a scene, it was a letter, I think, where he was like, I wasn't rejecting you. I've never wanted to kiss somebody more, like meet me. And she was like, okay. It's way more poetic than how I'm saying it right now, I promise. But so she goes and meets him and they have this like passionate little kissing moment. And I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. But there were like other moments when there was like other bits, like I didn't get that whole feeling from Ellie and Rory at all, like ever. I did find there was a little bit of cuteness in that last scene in the rain, but like I mean it's always in the rain. So I don't know. There were good moments.
I didn't really care about Ellie and Rory because I was like, here's our female main character who has feelings about love. Oh look, here's the first male character we're seeing who she has some sort of an interaction with and they don't super like each other first time around. Okay, guess we have our romantic pairing of the movie. Okay, let's move on.
No, Jenna, I have a proposition for you. Would you have liked Ellie and Rory's love story more? Just like if nothing else changed. But like let's just say that we just made it gay.
Okay, so you see, I had that same thought about the one in the 60s, or whatever year it was. Because
that would also be good.
Because I didn't like how we had... Because, like, some of the drama is like, well, first of all, like, she's married, of course, because they're always married. But I didn't really like how, like, the O'Hare guy, he was divorced because he was cheating.
Yeah.
And then he was also asking the person that he fell in love with to do the same thing. And just, I don't know why, like, that just rubbed me the wrong way. At least for fiction, like, real life, okay, like, whatever. But, like, I don't know why. And, like, it just bugged me for the whole movie. And I was like, wouldn't it be so much better if this affair was kind of happening? Because it technically wasn't really... It was frowned upon in the 60s, and like it wasn't straight. Like that was my thinking. I think it would have been better, but that's just me. But also, like, I don't really care about your romance if you don't develop it, so actually give me character development and then we'll talk.
You heard it here first, everybody. Jenna said make it gay.
That is true, I did.
But no, I do. We need like. Okay, see, I would get behind that too, but also I do want movies where like there were a couple. I don't remember. Did we recently? Yes, we did recently watch. It was Fear Street when we watched the movie where they had the queer relationship, but it wasn't like the reason that it was a relationship in the movie, you know? It wasn't like,
yeah,
oh, we did this just to have inclusivity, because like there was other stuff to the story. It all comes down to development, I guess. Yeah, just like develop things the appropriate amount, and that can be like that's really easy said. It's really easier said than done. because I know both of us are writing things at the minute, and we're trying to get the proper balance of development and pacing and everything, and it's hard. I mean, I respect anybody who can actually get a movie onto Netflix. Like, if you've gotten, or not even Netflix, if you've actually completed a movie, and I respect you. Unless you made Hubie Halloween, I don't really respect that movie.
I mean, they made
but
it.
Okay, yeah, but still, I think that I'm gonna just like say this because I feel like I might have said things like this before, but I'm gonna just say it. It's really easy to criticize movies when you're not the one who made it, and it's like, because there's so much that goes into production. There's so much that probably went into making this movie and everything. I mean, it's not an excuse to not develop your characters, but like it kind of is an excuse. It's really hard, and I respect them. I think they did a good job.
Yeah, like again, like at the end of the day, they got it made, and it's not horrible. So like, good job, you made a thing. People don't really hate it. Congratulations. But at the same time, like, now that you've done your job, as my job as the audience, it's kind of to take a look at it and have my own opinions of it. So just, like, I can appreciate all the hard work that goes into it and still criticize the things that I don't like.
Yeah. I remember, do you remember when we watched Malcolm and Marie? Yeah. And Malcolm was so mad because people who were watching his movie were, like, commenting on it?
Yep.
Like, that's... Jenna's like, don't remind me we watched that movie. That's the other, like, side of the coin, I guess. Because if you're making something for the public, like, it's there to be criticized, I guess. Like, it's there to be judged by the audience. Because if people don't like it, they're not going to watch it, and then there's no point in making it. But then if people... don't like it, they're gonna tell you, and if people like it, they're gonna tell you, and you're just, it's like, I guess it's a, what is it, something of the trade or whatever, or a occupational hazard, maybe? I don't know, but like, any public figure gets hate, and any public figure gets criticism, and that's kind of just, I feel like they don't really care that much, to be honest. I mean, they care, but like also I'm pretty sure that Shailene Woodley walked away from this movie with like a good paycheck. So regardless of what we say about this movie, I'm sure that all of them are sleeping happily tonight.
And and there's also a difference between like criticizing something in all fairness, and then there's another difference between just being straight mean about something. Like, I don't think we're saying anything mean about this movie, but we are, like, saying our own thoughts and opinions that aren't necessarily 100% positive. It would be another thing if we just sat down and was like, oh, this movie was so bad, and, like, yada yada yada, and kind of making, like, just claims about it and being not very nice.
This movie sucked because all of the people who made it are bad people because they are lactose intolerant.
You heard it here first, Raven. If you can't drink milk, you're not human.
But anyways, let's segue a little bit here. Something that I did notice from this movie that I want to hear your thoughts on. Jenna, what did you think about the soundtrack?
I didn't mind it. It felt very much like historical period drama / romance themes, sweets. Like, it was nice. I enjoyed it. It didn't feel very distinct from, like, kind of, like, the overall, like, what you would expect from the genre. But at the same time, like, it wasn't bad. It was nice.
Okay, so there was something I did notice. And I agree with you. But there was something I noticed that did, I think, do well at tying the two romance stories together. So if you remember at the birthday party when Ellie and Rory danced, so they went onto the dance floor and it played like a 60s song, which I don't know if it was just a party of hipsters, but I think that it was a directorial choice or whatever, to sort of connect the two storylines, because if you go to like a regular birthday party right now, they're not going to play 60s music like that. And I think it was a good moment in terms of like employing the soundtrack to add another dimension to the story, because like this was like the moment where they were kind of falling in love, and they were playing 60s music, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. So I did respect that choice. I think that was great.
Yeah, and for the life of me, I can't think of what the song was now, but it was the song that was kind of associated with Jenny and Boot.
What you gotta do about it?
Yeah, that one. I don't know why I couldn't think of it, but I liked that one too, and I like it played at some point in the beginning, and then they put it back in the end, so I thought that was a good way to like tie it all together and make them kind of young again in that moment.
There were also like moments throughout this movie that were like, they kind of reminded me of I don't want to say tropes necessarily, but like things that I've seen in movies about like modern day stuff. Like there was this moment where Jennifer had just found out that her husband lied to her about Boot being dead, and she was like in a room alone blasting sad music or whatever, like one of those like emo moments. But it was in the 60s, and it was like, oh, that's interesting. Because I feel like everybody treats, like, past movies as, like, a foreign object, I guess. Because I feel like you never see characters in, like, oldie movies. Like, not movies made in those times, but movies made about those times. You never see them behaving like people that you would see behaving in like a modern movie, and that's not to say that they don't use slang or whatever, but it's like they don't act like regular humans. And I mean, obviously there's cultural changes and everything, but seeing things like that's like relatable but over a period of time is like, I don't know, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, being emo has existed for years. Call it what you want. It's been different throughout the years, but it's a transcendent experience over time and space. So you can't just tell me it started to exist in the early 2000s. Because, like, just look at this movie. She was blasting music after a breakup. There you go.
I don't know how I feel about the Amnesia storyline yet. I do not know how I feel about that. Because I generally don't like Amnesia storylines.
It just feels very irrelevant now. Like, I get, like, because she forgot, and that was the whole, like, oh, she doesn't remember this thing. But then she remembered, and you're like, well, okay, guess the movie's over now. But there's still, like, 45 minutes left. And then, now that she does have her memory and she has this second chance, she again has to throw it away. And it's like, what was the point? Nothing, apparently.
Yeah, it was weird because, like, I mean, there have been Amnesia storylines where it's like the person's trying to discover what, like, the story, right? I've seen that in, I watched, have you seen Memento? I believe that's what it was called.
I have not, but I wanted to.
Oh, I think he has short-term memory loss, so he doesn't even remember things, like, from the day, but he's trying to discover, like, who murdered his wife or something, and he can't remember. And so that one kind of did similar things, where it's like, oh, he's trying to discover what happened in his life, and he could remember, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like her trying to discover the story and the journalist trying to discover the story at the same time was a bit much. And we didn't need both of them, you know?
Yeah. I agree.
What else did anything else like stick out to you, do you think? As like really bad or really good?
I really liked all of the period stuff, and I think the people in the costume and wardrobe department did a very good job because I liked all the things people were wearing. Like, there was one outfit that Rory had, and I was like, I want to wear that. Thank you very much. Like, just put me in an archival job in that outfit, and I will be very happy. And also, I don't know what they're called, but like at one point, Jenny was wearing like one of those like capes from the 60s where like they're out in the sun or whatever.
Yeah.
One of those, like, I want one of those. So, like, anyway, everyone looked very stylish and fashionable in this movie, and I was like, yes, I will look at these outfits in the places that you are inhabiting, even if I'm bored with the rest of this movie.
Yeah, I think the production design was really nice too. I will say about the hair and makeup and everything, I either hated or loved Jenny's hair at any given moment. I liked her hair a lot of the times when she was hanging out with Boot, and then there were like these times when she was at dinner with her actual husband where her hair was just like, what was it? It looked like Phineas and Ferb's mom's hair.
Oh god,
if you know what I'm talking about.
You are.
And I was like, that's not a good look, honey. Honey, no. But otherwise, I think it was very much a pretty movie to look at, especially the scenes in the 60s. Because also they were in France, at least for the first part of that. And there was like these scenes of the countryside, but there were these scenes where they were like partying, and there was obviously the train station scene with the smoke and everything. I mean, that train scene has been done multiple times. I know it has, but it never ceases to make my heart happy. Okay, it's pretty. I like train scenes. But it was definitely a very pretty movie. So it wasn't like boring to look at. Just sometimes the story was a little bit boring, but that's okay. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the most complex movie. It's not really trying to do anything that's super revolutionary. It's just trying to tell some love stories.
I do think I kind of like that though.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of times when movies kind of muddy up their story when they're trying to be profound or something, or they're trying to be really super deep or super artsy, and then it just kind of gets in the way. And I mean, this movie was artsy. It had a very nice aesthetic, but at the end of the day, it was just, oh, these two people are in love, and that's the story. And obviously there were conflicts along the way, but like, it wasn't like it was trying to... I mean, there were some moments where they were trying to comment on the actual nature of love itself, but it wasn't glaringly in your face. It wasn't trying to be too much. It wasn't heavy-handed, you know. I think it did a pretty good job in keeping a balance there. It wasn't like commenting on much, and I don't know. I do like that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, again, I don't mind it being, like, simple and really just choosing to focus on, like, oh, these two people are in love and that's the story. But when you do that, you have to make sure that you actually do a good job of that thing. Because you don't have anything else to fall back on.
Yeah, it's like... Okay, so I'm gonna pick on Malcolm and Marie again.
Why not? We should.
Because that was a really simple story that got so muddied up by them trying to be profound. Like, every scene they were trying to make some sort of either political commentary or like mental health commentary or whatever. It's just like, it's like, can you stop? Like, we don't need them to fight again. We don't need to listen to them comment on the nature of life and racism and Hollywood and mental health and drug abuse and all of this stuff. Like, just chill out. But then I mean, they, like, you could tell them when that writer sat down to make that screenplay, they were like, I'm gonna write something profound and I'm gonna make everybody go like, wow, that was crazy, man. And it just kind of fell really flat because they neglected the story when they tried to make it super profound. And so a lot of times when movies don't do that, it ends up making more of an impact on the viewer, you know?
Yeah, like, it's a balance between saying something and telling your story. And I feel like the two kind of have to go together. You can't force one upon the other. Like, if something didn't come up organically, then maybe don't try to consciously put that in and see either where the message or the story takes you and work from there.
Yeah. I've definitely fell victim to over planning things, or like setting out to tell a specific story with a specific like 1, 2, 3, and then like when I actually end up trying to write it, it kind of, maybe it'll go in a different direction, or something will feel clunky and awkward, and it's like you're just trying to shove it in there, and it's like it's not working. And like I don't know, I definitely agree with you. So it needs to happen naturally. If it's not happening naturally, it's gonna come across as unnatural to the viewer, and then you don't want to have to sit through something unnatural as a viewer. So you don't want to make your viewers sit through something unnatural.
Yeah.
So okay, back to Ellie and Rory though. I don't understand her, okay? I mean, she was all like, "Oh, I'm just like, oh, I'm making you stay late. Oh, I'm touching your phone and being super flirty. Ah ha ha, we're having so much fun. Oh, I'm gonna sleep with you now. Oh, I wake up, I'm gonna leave you behind."
I know! What was she
It's like,
thinking?
it's not like he's a regular hookup because she works with him. Like, she's been working with him, like, every day. It's not like it's somebody that she's never gonna see again. It's like, that's fine, girl. If you want to just hook up with a stranger and leave in the morning, that's fine. But this guy isn't a stranger. Okay, you might need to interact with him later for a story or something. You don't want to do that. Like, if you don't want to get complicated with it, if you don't want to be, like, committed, don't start anything. You know?
Yeah, I know. Like, and just, like, I felt really bad for him because, again, he deserved better. Like, she was, like, never really nice to him unless, like, they were doing something good with her story. And then, like, I don't know, I just felt bad for him because I felt like her heart wasn't really in it, and that she was treating it like one of her other hookups. When it's like, no. Listen, he cares about you.
Yeah, and then she just goes back to him and he just takes her back? Bro, she's been leaving you unopened for like so many times, to the point where she started typing and then decided not to finish her typing. So she left you unopened, sir. Okay, if somebody was leaving me unopened and everything, bye. Like, no, I'm not. You show up outside my window with an umbrella in the rain and declare your love for me. I will probably not take you back. Yeah, but like, especially in this scenario, like, what the heck? Rory, you can do so much better. I know, easy for me to say, right? But still, he could do so much better.
And, like, Ellie chose to do the most, like, cliche romance movie thing to get him back. Like, she didn't even write him a love letter herself. Come on.
That would have been cute.
She was like, I'm just gonna go stand in front of his apartment in the rain. That'll work. Totally. And it's like, no one's ever done that before. Like, I know you're probably smart. Think of something interesting.
No, the love letter would have been so much better. I would have respected him getting back with her more if she wrote him a love letter, because their whole romance was based off of finding these love letters. Jenna, you should have written this movie. Come on.
You see, if I had written this movie, it would have been so drastically different that it wouldn't have been this movie. Also, I'm busy writing other things, so, no.
Ooh, other things. Jenna, every time we do this, Jenna always has like this idea that you'll just come up with like an idea and you'll just say it randomly, like nonchalantly, and it's like the best idea that could have gone into the movie, and you'll just like have it and you'll just be like, oh, they should have done this. And I'm like, Jenna, you should have written this movie. You should just write every movie. You should just be the only writer.
No, I really shouldn't. That would be so horrible, Ava. You have no idea what you are unleashing with that comment. But no, and like, it's easy for someone else to come along and be like, oh, you should have done this after they've looked at the finished project. But like, these people had the story that they wanted to tell. Well, I'm assuming that there was no interference or someone made them change it. But they had their story and they told it how they wanted to tell it. And that's what they did. So, do I have the right to necessarily come in here with my own idea for a story and say that it's what it should have been? Who knows? Yes, I could make my own version, but I don't want to do that.
I do wonder if they were forced to change anything. Like, sometimes after watching a movie and I'm like, this thing about the story kind of sucked. And then I'm like, was it the writer's fault or were they told to do that? You know, maybe there was something different planned. I don't know. I don't think that love letter thing was planned, though. I think that was the same, because I feel like standing outside in the rain and writing him a love letter is kind of along the same lines. But still, I don't know. I feel like you are just a better writer than all of Hollywood.
No, I just like coming up with ideas.
Okay, well, you're a better idea person than all of Hollywood.
I disagree, but I thank you anyway.
Okay, whose idea in one of the movies that we've covered for this podcast, whose idea was better than something that you could have come up with?
There's two people in this podcast, Ava.
No, like in all of the movies and all of the things that were already made, and you're like, oh, that was really a good idea on the part of the writers.
Oh, so you're asking me which movie had a good idea?
Yeah, what's your favorite idea from one of the movies that you couldn't have come up with?
This is a lot of movies you're asking me about on the spot, Ava.
So none of them stuck out to you?
No, I have a couple options.
It's almost like you come up with better ideas than everyone in Hollywood.
No, I think like the reading of the names at the end of the trial of the Chicago 7, I think that was really good. Instead of them actually giving some big long speech, they just read the names. I don't think I would have done that. I like the ending of Luca. I don't know why all the endings are the things that are coming to mind right now, but you know what? Maybe I'll actually use that Twitter and get back to you later. If we're spreading positivity.
Yes, spreading positivity on Twitter. Go follow us. Other places that you could follow us, Instagram and TikTok, those are in the descriptions. I'm probably gonna do another TikTok bomb at some point. Because I guess that's just how I roll on TikTok. I'll like be completely inactive and then I'll catch up over the course of like a week and post something every day. But yeah, so Instagram and TikTok. Our Instagram is kind of inactive right now because we're trying to come up with something better to do with it, because it was kind of boring. So when we come up with that, we'll start posting there again. Also, follow us or like, comment, subscribe on YouTube if you're here on YouTube. Hi. It really does mean a lot when you do that. If you subscribe, you won't miss any of our other content because we come out with other kinds of videos like every weekend or so. Also, if you're not on YouTube, hello. You can probably follow us on whatever platform you're on. And if you are on YouTube and you want to listen to us on another platform, all of them are in the description below. It really does mean a lot when you guys follow us and you guys listen, because it really helps out the channel. It makes us very, very happy inside, I promise. So if you want to do us a true and honest solid, just like hit the little button and follow us and listen to us in the future, because it really does make us happy. And yeah, so I believe this weekend I have a video coming out. Then afterwards, Jenna, and then me, and then Jenna, and then so on. So you don't want to miss that. So subscribe. That's pretty cool. And I think that's all for this episode. Jenna, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I'm not one for romance, but like if someone wants to like write me a love letter, like not like a serious one, just you know what, write me a letter and I'd be happy.
Leave your love letters in the comment section below. Profess your love to Jenna, please.
Please don't.
Please do. Okay, anyways, okay. Okay, bye!